Thanks, Tim and Lindsay, and to the Hall of Fame again for being up here for always a great day, great program. Definitely enjoy getting to get back around the OAC coaches and players. I rode on the bus up with Tanner Clark, and if there's a football version of PTSD, I might have experienced it from how many yards he ran against us last year. So it's fun to see these guys, with their helmets off and get to know them a little bit better. It's been an exciting year for our university. We've gotten to a point with president going into the 3 years on campus, second year with an athletic director, that some of their plans and the things that they've implemented, we started to bear the fruits from. And Capitals University is actually bringing in a record-sized incoming freshman class. We definitely benefited from that from a football standpoint. It's going to be our largest recruiting class that our staff has brought in since we've been at Capital. So it has been exciting to see those things take place under our new leadership, both within the university and the athletic department. The strength for us is definitely our seniors. The challenge is that there's only 9 of them. And the very true statements that previous coaches have said, that those senior classes are so important. I really believe that was what held us together, kind of the glue that got us through a very extended rough patch that we went through from our second year into the early season and midpoints of our third year last year. To be able to finish the season in a strong way, I think our senior class had a lot to do with that. What I feel good about these 9 seniors that we have that have been with us for 4 years is they are very on the same page with what our seniors last year provided for us, and I know it's important to them, and extending that culture of trust and working with a large group of incoming players to help them understand what our expectations are and how we need to approach things to have a chance to be successful. We've got a challenging schedule. We got 6 road games this year. To be able to schedule out non-conference had to kind of take a hit in terms of falling out of balance. But again, another challenge that we'll have to be aware of and have to address and do the best we can with. When you look at what we have on the field returning, I start with special teams always. And the reality is, losing a game by 4, losing a game by 3, losing a game by 1. We had opportunities in the kicking game to make up some of those points, and that didn't always happen for us. So I know, Blake Middleton, our returning place kicker, is working very hard to improve himself. We've got a couple of incoming place kickers that will provide some depth and compete for positions in the place kicking spots. So we're striving for improvement in that area. From a punting standpoint, we kind of rely on our skill players. Wyatt Pertusit, one of our receivers, Cam Lee, one of our tight ends, take on our punting duties, and they've both done a nice job with that, and both had experience last year punting the football. And then Corey Roth is going to take over our long snapping duties, and he's just a guy that does everything right in your program, works hard, very dependable, very reliable, and while he's been struggling to find the right fit position-wise for us. He's been a linebacker, he's been a DN, he's going to be an H-back for us this year. I think he can really embrace that long snapping role for us from a special teams standpoint. When you look at our defense, I would say as a coaching staff, we kind of feel, maybe for the first time that we've been there, we got an opportunity for our D-line to really be the strength of the team. I think there's some experience, I think there's some talent. Trey Zimmer, Kobe Swaghammer, Jack Blaisdell are all guys with returning experience for us on the defensive line. We think there's some good returning and incoming talent at that position. And like Coach Overt said, it starts up front, and that D-line is so important. Don't have a senior in that group, so we'll be relying on the juniors and returning sophomores for some leadership. At our linebacker group, Cole Carter, who's with us today, is really going to take the charge there in terms of getting that group led, and they've really been. We kind of do some things in terms of position group competition throughout the year, and they've been a group that always excels in that and wins a lot of our off-season GPA competitions and community service competitions and different things that we do, and a lot of that is due to Cole's leadership. Blake McCauley is also going to be returning as a junior for us. And then in the defensive backfield, we graduated quite a bit of experience, but we've still got some seniors there, which I feel good about. I think they've taken on that role. Jake Elstead, who's a regular starter for us last year, Avery Sylvester, who rotated in that corner a little bit for us. Those guys have embraced the leadership role, and I think we'll do a good job with probably some younger defensive backs that are going to be in the fold for us there. Offensively, the reality is we replace a quarterback who's responsible for 87% of our offense. I mean, that's a big piece to lose. And the thought is that if we can get a little bit better at all the positions around it, that we can make up that gap a little bit easier. But it'd be difficult to rely on one individual to be able to make up all of that production. But Andrew Ray, Mitchell Mayshock, and then a host of incoming players will all be competing at that quarterback position. Running backs, we've got some veteran guys who played a lot for us and played multiple years for us. Evan Butler's been playing since he's a freshman. He'll be a senior in that group. Antoine Shipp's played quite a bit over the past years, and he'll be a senior as well. And then we've got Dylan Schoonover and Jaden Gentino, who are going to be in our junior class at the running back position. Clint Kitchen's going to be a returner at our fullback position. Then the wide receiver group, David Barnett is another individual with us today. He has been in some way, shape, or form an all OAC player every year that he's been with us. Freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year. Didn't get to finish the season last year, got injured and missed the last 3 games of the season due to injury, but has come back very strong and has had a lot of production over his time, and I think is very poised and determined to have a very strong finish to his career at Capital. Wyatt Pertusset's another guy that was on the field for us as a regular starter last year at the receiver position. We've got a young tight end, Cam Lee, who wasn't available to us due to injury until I think it was the game David got hurt, so the 6th game of the season last year. Was still through his rehab protocol coming out of high school, but he had some good production coming in, and we're hoping that he's growing physically to the point, playing as a young guy, that he can be that true kind of dual tight end that can be effective in the run game and also be effective in the pass game. And then on the offensive line, it's strange to say, we don't have a senior. We've got 2 juniors, and Josh McSweeney and Nick Russell, but we're more veteran. We're more experienced than we were a year ago at that position. So we are going to rely on those 2 juniors to be able to lead the charge on the offensive line and bring along some sophomores, bring along some incoming freshmen, since we've got a little bit more experience there to be a little more effective on our offensive line play. So our season's going to open on a Thursday night. We're going to travel to Westminster, Pennsylvania, and open the season on September 5th, and then our OAC opener will be the following Saturday at home against Marietta. Good luck to all the coaches and players, and have a great season. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Coach brought Cole Carter with him. Cole will join us. Cole is a senior defensive back from Gallup Police.
You pronounced that correctly.
I pronounced that correctly. Okay, I understand you have more shoes than Michael Jordan. How many pair of shoes do you have? Are they worth something? Is this something you're going to get getting? Tell us about the shoe thing.
When I was in high school, I was a big sneakerhead. I probably had about, I'm not going to lie to you, about 50 some pairs of shoes, right? And my mom was not the biggest fan of that. She eventually said, it's time to grow up, sell your shoes, you're going to college, right? So nowadays, I probably have maybe 11 pairs, some of my favorites. Just a big Jordan collector. One of the biggest Michael Jordan fans ever. The Oreo 4s, Jordan 4 is my favorite shoe ever. Even on the football field, you'll see me wearing Jordan cleats. It's just my guy, Michael Jordan.
All right. You're a defensive back, okay? And I'd like to know, what's the hardest kind of receiver for you to cover? I mean, is it the tall guy with the arms? Is it the shifty guy? Is it the little guy? Is it the fast guy? When you're preparing for an opponent, what kind of receiver do you say, oh, no?
I just want to say right here, that guy right there is the best receiver I've ever played against in my life. So every day at practice, going against that guy, you're not going to see him. I mean, we have awesome talent in this league, as we all talked about, but that's one of the best receivers you'll ever play against, and just how physical he is. You look at him, he actually just gave me his coat because I was sweating too much. He gave me his coat. You see it's a little long on my thing, but yeah, going against him every day at practice, one of the most physical receivers, hardworking, elusively quick. He just so a bigger receiver, physicality.
The bigger ones?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, the bigger ones. What are you going to remember the most about your days at Capital University in looking back at being a student athlete? What are you going to remember the most?
I hate to do this, coach at Otterbein right here, but the Otterbein games are definitely the best games in your life, the best experiences ever. And it's just an awesome rivalry. and we talk about football history, that's a piece of football history, especially in Central Ohio, and that's something I respect greatly, that game.
Okay, now you saw the Otterbein kid's shoes, right?
They're awesome. I love them. I wish I had them.
All right, why don't you cut a deal? You got the Jordans. Which one? Cole Carter, thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Donaldson.